It's peak summer, peak chanterelle season. Last year, my old chef from Milan, William, called me up and he said, Alan, I made the best chanterelle risotto. I take a bunch of the mushrooms and put them in the rice, and then I saute a bunch and put them on top. I thought that sounded just great, so I took his recipe and made a little version that you can try here. First thing that we're going to do is cut up some leek. Typically, we're going to use onion when we start risotto, but you just really want to use some kind of allium and some good stock. But with leeks, I love leeks with chanterelles, so we're going to use the tender white and green parts only. I've taken off a few layers, then we're going to make some slits nearly down to the root end, but we want to keep them together to make it easy to dice. And then 1/4-inch slits, and then dice them up. That is how you dice a leek, into nice small cubes. Then for the chanterelles, you want to make sure to wash the leeks because they're notoriously filthy. One thing I really liked about the mushrooms in William's recipe is that he sautés a bunch of the nice perfect buttons to put them on top. You can use mushrooms of any size and shape here. You can see I'm cutting these generally into just like little bite-sized pieces. I will have some small whole buttons in there as well. And one thing to mention is if your chanterelles are buggy or if they're very large, finely chop them or add duxelle, and that's a great way to fit extra mushrooms in the risotto. There's lots of different ways you can do this, okay? So you can finely chop them too, and that's going to be just fine. That'll be great. So we're going to start the mushrooms off in a little bit of oil, and we're just going to add the leeks right to that because we don't need to brown the mushrooms. We'll brown the mushrooms to go on top. This, we want to keep the risotto nice and light colored. We don't want to brown it. So we're going to add a pinch of salt and just cook that until the leeks are starting to get translucent and softened. Then we will add the rice, and we'll stir this around until the rice is starting to get a little bit sticky. And then we're going to deglaze with a splash of white wine. And from here, the risotto is going to be very similar to any other risotto you made. We're going to just gradually add some homemade chicken stock, about 1/2 cup at a time. You may not need all of the chicken stock in the recipe. And we just wait until the stock is absorbed before we add more stock. Just keep stirring. Want to be stirring regularly to prevent it from sticking, especially with me on this small gas burner because it only has an extra high heat setting. And we'll just keep adding stock until the rice is nearly done. Now for the garnish, when the rice is nearly done, we're going to saute the perfect little chanterelle button garnish. I'll add a couple little thyme sprigs or a crushed clove of garlic if I had some. Nice little pinch of salt. Now, when the rice is nearly done, I'm going to embellish this with a little bit of cream. This is totally optional and not really traditional in Italian risottos unless they're using fish, but then they omit the cheese. This is not supposed to be a low-fat dish. It's supposed to taste really good. So I add a little bit of cream, then I'll add a little bit of butter, and the rice should be, just about perfectly done at this point. And you can see how juicy the risotto is. It should be nice and liquid, but not too liquid. Now, heat off. We're going to add the cheese. This is called the montecare, the last part of the risotto where we add fat. Beat that really, really good. Now watch when we plate it. The most important thing here, as I've mentioned before, the risotto should be flat. It needs to be juicy with every bite, and we never mound the risotto in the bowl. We're going to garnish with our little sauteed chanterelle mushroom buttons, and there you go. A fantastic risotto, chock full of summer chanterelles. Full recipe is on my website. Link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.